Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. Welcome, my wonderful eighth graders. So glad you're here today. Go ahead and drop it in the chat box. Describe what you might need to make a story plot. This is a picture from Minecraft, a treasure chest. What do you think's in that treasure chest? What might you need to make a story plot? If you don't know what story plot is, it's okay because that's what we're going to talk about today. Go ahead and set that timer for 2 minutes and drop your thoughts in the chat box. All right, moving on. All right, so we did our warm up. Whoop, whoop. Yay, good job. We're going to talk about our expectations, state standards, I can statements, the plot, and our breakout room activity. All right, expectations. Attend class every time. Participate, do your best work, and encourage one another. All right, Common Core Standard, 8th grade. We want to engage and orient the reader by establishing a context and point of view and introducing a narrator and or characters. Organize an event sequence that unfolds naturally and logically. The I can statement for today. Usually I get a student to read this, so if you want to pause the video and have a student read, that would be wonderful. I'm going to go ahead and read it as a backup. I can organize an event sequence that unfolds naturally and logically. All right, so over the last 5 weeks, we've been talking about the 5 elements of a story. We've talked about character, setting, and today we're going to talk about plot. The plot is the storyline. It is a sequence of events that unfolds. So, a plot is sort of like a roller coaster. It's the tracks that take the reader through the story. The elements of a plot are as follows. We have the exposition, introduction, introduce characters and settings, the who, what, where. We have a rising action, the tension and conflict builds. We have a climax, which is a turning point in the story. Usually it is the most suspenseful or emotional part of the story. Another key point is at the top of the roller coaster, you get a bird's eye view. So often characters gain clarity through going through that struggle. Then you have the falling action in which things are starting to resolve. The author ties up any loose ends. And I want you to be mindful of that, pay attention to that, because you as a writer, I'm hoping that you'll tie up those loose ends on the characters, because sometimes we love characters and it's so like, oh my gosh, you don't want to leave your readers hanging wondering what happened to your favorite characters. So sometimes what a lot of fans do is come up with an alternative story because they're like they want to know what happened to the characters, so they write their own, and that's really an awesome collaborative effort on the parts of fans. And we can talk about that more, but try to be mindful to tie up those loose ends as an author. Then number 5, you have that resolution and conclusion. You're providing closure, a new sense of normal, and the ending may or may not be happy. So when you're writing, you don't know whether you're going to have a happy ending or not, because sometimes your story pretty much tells itself. You're like, oh yeah, well that makes sense. I'm going to add this and that. So but one key thing is you want to relay a message, your theme of the story, such as bravery, etc. But yeah. All right. Oh, let me tell you about this little story because we're going to have a little show and tell time for a second. This is a little I love photography, as many of you guys know, and this is a water park outside of Nevada. It's an abandoned water park. I thought it was so cool, and then when I was looking at thinking about roller coasters, that reminded me of that picture, and I thought, how cool would that be to be a setting for a story? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and read a story called Yay Shin. And I want you to think about plot. I want you to think about that roller coaster. I want you to visualize where you're going with that. All right. So once upon a time, there was a girl named Ye Shen. She lived with her mean stepmother and stepsister. The two women mistreated Ye Shen because they were jealous of her beauty. Ye Shen's only friend was a goldfish. However, one day her stepmother did the unkindest thing of all. She killed the fish and served him for supper. As Ye Shin mourned for her friend, an old nun suddenly appeared. Gather the fish bones, she said. They have great power and can grant you your wishes. Soon it was time for the spring festival, where young people went to find husbands and wives. Ye Shen wanted to attend. Alas, she had nothing but her plain drab dress to wear. Ye Shen asked the bones for help. Her old dress and shoes disappeared immediately. In their place were a beautiful dress and golden slippers. At the festival, Ye Shen was noticed by all, even the king. However, Ye Shen saw her stepsister staring at her, so she ran away quickly, and as she did, one of her slippers fell off. The king wanted to find the slipper's owner. Every woman came to the palace to try it on, but no one's foot could fit. One night Ye Shen crept into the palace. She grabbed the slipper and returned home. She didn't see the king following her. When the king saw that the slipper fit Ye Shin, he proposed. Naturally, they lived happily ever after. All right, so that's the story of Ye Shin. All right, so in your breakout room, what I want you to do is think about your story. I'm going to pop over the story as well as this graphic organizer, and you're going to fill it out in the breakout room. So tell me what part of the story, what key details from the story show you the introduction, the rising action, the climax, the falling action, and the resolution. All right, so go ahead and set that timer for about 10 minutes to go ahead and work on that. Your ticket out the door is to tell me one thing you learned about plot today. So go ahead and write in the chat box and have a wonderful day. Peace.